Taking off shoes, a sign of reverence. Today, we're going to reflect on a simple yet profound gesture, taking off your shoes, and why it holds such powerful meaning in scripture and tradition. In ancient Jewish culture, removing one's shoes wasn't just about cleanliness or comfort. It was a deep, symbolic act, a sign of reverence, of recognizing sacred space. We see this clearly in the story of Moses and the burning bush. As Moses approached the bush that burned without being consumed, he encountered the presence of God. And then, he heard these words. Exodus 3 verse 5. "Do not come any closer," God said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." On the surface, this instruction seems simple: respect the holiness of the place. And across cultures, we find similar customs. In Islam, believers remove their shoes before stepping into a mosque. In Japan, shoes are taken off before entering a home, especially traditional homes that once housed family shrines. But let's go deeper. Why exactly is being barefoot in God's presence more appropriate than having shoes on? Here's a thought. Taking off your shoes is a way of admitting that the ground beneath you is not yours. In the ancient East, shoes had powerful symbolic meaning. In Deuteronomy 25 verse 9, when a man refused to fulfill his duty to marry his deceased brother's widow, she would remove his sandal in public and spit in his face. This was a sign of shame, of someone relinquishing their responsibility and giving up their claim. So, when God told Moses to remove his shoes, he was asking Moses to acknowledge that the land was not his to claim. This was God's domain, holy ground. The Hebrew word Adamah means soil or land. And Kodesh means holy, sacred, set apart. So, Admat Kodesh means this isn't just any land, it's land that belongs to God. And setting your foot on it with shoes would symbolize possession or ownership. Removing your shoes does the opposite. It's an act of surrender, humility, and awe. But there's even more to this. In ancient times, not everyone owned shoes. The poor walked barefoot. So removing your shoes became a sign of humility, a way of lowering yourself in the presence of something or someone greater. Even today, Jewish mourners observing Shiva often sit on low stools or boxes as they grieve, a posture of humility and vulnerability before God. In Scripture, we also see that God seems to favor the natural over the artificial. For example, altars were to be built with uncut stones, untouched by tools. In the same way, walking barefoot is returning to something natural, being in direct contact with the earth. It's a reminder of where we came from and where we're going. From dust you came, to dust you shall return. And we see this theme again in the story of David and the Ark of the Covenant. God had commanded that the ark be carried on the shoulders of the Levites, but David chose a more modern, seemingly efficient way. He placed it on a new cart. And as the cart moved, the oxen stumbled. A man named Uzzah reached out to steady the ark, and he was struck down. 2 Samuel 6 verses 6 to 7. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah because of his irreverent act, therefore God struck him down. This wasn't just about touching the ark. It was about disregarding sacred instruction, about approaching God's holiness casually. Because when God entrusts you to carry His presence, humility is not optional. So next time you hear the phrase, "take off your shoes," remember, it's more than a cultural habit. It's a spiritual statement. A declaration that says, "I know this ground is not mine. I stand before something greater than myself. I surrender. I humble myself. I recognize that this is holy." Because when God chooses you to be a vessel for His glory, 1 Peter 5 verse 6, you must walk barefoot, not just in body, but in spirit. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Glory be to God. Thanks for watching. If you find this message helpful, please subscribe, like and hit the notification button for enlightened insight. See you in the next video.